So we're going to make pate de choux. Pate de choux is an important part of the bakery. It's eclairs, it's cream puffs, it's gougères, which are cheese puffs, which are amazing. And really what we're doing is we're going to cook a roux, and then what we're going to be able to do is add eggs, and it is leavened by the eggs and the steam within the shell itself. We all love eclairs, and so they're beautiful to make, and this is super easy. We cook it on the stove just like we do a normal roux. So like I showed you with the ingredients, I have my milk and my water, my salt and my butter are all going to go into my sauce pot, and I'm going to bring those to a boil. I have my flour, which I'm going to add and cook it down, and the key, and I'm going to tell you this over and over as we cook pate de choux today, the longer you cook it, the more scum you get on the bottom of the pot, the higher the rise, and that's what's really important to remember. What I do have after is I have our bowl that I put as part of our equipment needed. I also have a pastry bag with a pastry tip, the number 828, which is important, I know you all have. I've also created templates, and we'll go over these when we get ready to pipe. We're going to do 4-inch long eclairs, so I've drawn 4-inch long lines that I'm going to then pipe my pate de choux once it's ready to go onto, and we're going to bake it in the oven. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to put our milk and our water, and I'm going to add my salt and my butter, put it all in together. And it's good to have your butter chopped up, diced up. It just melts a little bit quicker and incorporates a little bit easier. And then we're going to put this on the stove to boil, and so I'm going to stop here and then move us over to the stove, so hang on. Okay, so here I have the water and milk and butter and salt on the stove, and I'm bringing it up to a boil. I want to incorporate it all. I need the butter to melt, and I'd like it to boil because we're going to cook it. Once we add the flour, we're going to slowly add our flour into it and cook it till we really can see that the roux has, we've cooked a lot of the starch out, and everyone always says it looks just like mashed potatoes, so that's kind of what we're going for. There it looks like my butter is all done. I have my flour in a container. I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm going to start adding my flour. You don't want to use a whip or a whisk. The problem with that is this flour is going to get a little chunky on you, and we're going to want to stir it and incorporate it all. And you can see it gets a little crazy. And I'm going to keep adding my flour and stirring it really well, incorporating. It's getting a little chunky. The heat's still on. I still have my heat going. Then I'm going to add all my flour in, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn myself down a little here, and I'm going to start stirring it and incorporating it all around. You can see it really thickens up on you because just like a roux. And like I said, the longer you cook it, the better it is for it. And what we want to do is make sure we incorporate all those pieces of flour that are in there. We're going to cook it down so we get all the starch cooked out, and you can see it looks just like mashed potatoes, and everyone thinks, oh, it's done right now, and it's not. I want it to go longer. And when I'm talking about the scum on the bottom of the pot, you'll see exactly what I mean here in just a minute. You think it's done now? I cook it longer because the saying is the longer you go, the more you see kind of attaching to the bottom of this pot, the more eggs you can get in it, and the higher the rise with pate de choux. Pate de choux is French, and supposedly it means little cabbages because when they bake in their little cream puffs, it looks like a little cabbage. And so they do. I think it's a great way to think of it. You can see it's really come together nicely. It's really a cohesive mass. It's dried out well. I can kind of smell the nuttiness in the roux itself. And so in my opinion, you can see how long I've left it on. And I kind of can continue to cook it just a little bit longer. You don't want to be impatient with it. You want to make sure you really get that starch set in it. And in my opinion, I think that's done. So we're going to stop there, and then we're going to move on to the next step. All right, so I've taken it off the stove. I have my bowl. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add my pate de choux to this bowl. And what we're going to work on is cooling it down a little bit. You can see the steam kind of rising from it. I'm going to come in and spat it along the edges and cool this pate de choux down. I don't want to add the eggs too soon, because in incorporating the eggs too soon, what's going to happen is we don't want to cook them. So that's what's really important. So we're going to take our time and kind of bring it like I'm doing, just up the sides of the bowl with my spatula. And you can see I'm getting some of the steam out. Stainless steel bowl is nice and cool itself, so that's going to help just cool the cooling properties of the bowl. It's just going to cool it down and make it so we can start incorporating our eggs. Still using a spatula because what we're going to do is we're going to start adding 2 eggs at a time, and we're going to incorporate them really well. We're going to add them and stir them and make sure they're all incorporated. You want to make sure you've gotten a lot of that steam out. I'm just going to give it one more kind of pull up the side of my bowl. You can see how I'm doing it. And any mixing bowl will do. It's nice to do it on a mixer, but if you don't have a mixer, this is a great way to make pate choux at home and not have to worry about having a big piece of equipment to do it with. I'm going to bring it back in. And then, like I said, what I'm going to do is scrape it really well and get everybody down to the middle. And I'm going to start adding. I have my 8 eggs that I've cracked. I'm going to add 2 eggs, and I'm going to start incorporating them. 2 at a time. I'm just going to take my time. All right, make sure they get in all the way. Those eggs incorporated. Now you can see that kind of separates. The eggs are cold and my pate choux is warm. So this is really the important kind of incorporation area or time, is when you first start bringing that pate choux temperature down. What you want to be able to do is get that egg incorporated into it. Oop, flew a little over my shoulder there. All right, so we're going to get it all in. I'm not going to stop until I really get it nice and incorporated. It takes a little time. Get off my spatula. All right, you're going to make sure you bring it all in and incorporate it. You'll see it starts to come together. It's how it was originally made. I tell you guys, before mixers were around, we actually made it by hand. And you can see it's starting to come together. I have a nice cohesive mass. I'm going to show you right up close. Whoop, there we go. And so I think I'm ready. You can see the eggs are incorporated. I have nice, kind of, looks really good. I'm going to add 2 more eggs. And I'm going to continue the process the whole time. I can continue stirring in 2 eggs at a time. I wouldn't do any more than that. If I had a mixer, which you can do this on a mixer with a paddle, I wouldn't do it anymore. If I were on a mixer, what I would do is I would add 2 eggs, I would let it paddle itself, then I would give it a really good scrape, then it needs to be paddled again each time. So I'm going to stop the video here and finish so you don't have to live through it with me. Hang on. Okay, so I have put my pate choux together. It took a little elbow grease and a little time, but I want you to take a look at it. I've got all my eggs incorporated. Looks really nice. It's a nice cohesive mass. It's got that beautiful butter color. You can see I've scraped all the egg and everything down the side, and I mixed it by hand. So I know if I can do it, you can do it. That's what's important. What we're going to do now is we're going to learn how to pipe pate choux. What we're going to do is we're going to get it in a pastry bag with a tip like I showed you, and we're going to pipe eclairs, which I'm going to demonstrate. And I have a particular way that I like, and I think you can do it. You guys are so skilled. I know you can do it my way. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to bring this over here and I'm just going to show you, whoop, right there. We're going to do 4-inch lines. We're going to pipe it with an 8/28. We're going to do 4 turns total. And what I mean is kind of like when I always tell you how you do your rosette. Well, now you get a chance to keep it going like you like to do. So that's how we're going to make these eclairs. So what I'm going to do is I have my pastry bag with my 8/28 tip. I'm going to fill it. And you don't want to wear your pate choux, so just a little bit at a time is really what's important. So you don't want to just load all your pate choux in there. Trust me on this. We want to be able to get enough in so that we can get our hands on it. You want to make sure you turn your bag down like I've showed you many times. Turn your bag down. You can see I'm going to fold it under, and that's a pretty good amount of pate choux to start with. and there I am ready to go. What I've done is I've drawn with my yardstick, 4-inch lines on a diagonal, and those 4-inch lines are this long, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a piece of parchment over the top because I don't want to bake on top of them. As you know, it's easy to do. I want to bake, and I want to get the right dimension, but I want to bake on top of the parchment itself. So what I'm going to do is, like I usually do, I'm going to get my pate choux down here and into my tip, and then what I'm going to do on this sheet pan, make sure your parchment is down, is I'm going to start piping one in the center to be able to show you. And as you know, I'm going to apply my pressure here, and this hand is going to guide just like I show you every time. What I want to be able to do is on my 4-inch line, I want to start here, and I want to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to stop here. Whoop, my paper's moving. And there's one eclair. And again, I'm going to bring it up closer so you can see it. I have one 4-inch line here, and I'm just going to start doing my rosette. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to stop and release my pressure and tear it off so it's all set. And so that is 2 eclairs right there. I have another one right here, another line that I'm going to show you again. I'm going to count 4 each time. I'm going to get my beat going. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's a beautiful eclair right there. Ooh, I want you to all see it. There he is. Right? And so I probably have one more eclair in this bag, you can see, and so I have a line right here. Let's pipe him, this guy right here. It'll be good to watch. Again, I'm not piping up and down straight. It's like I always tell you with a rosette, we're coming in at an angle. What that's allowing to do is give dimension to the eclair because we want to have it big and full and beautiful. The eclair itself is a vessel to hold all the wonderful stuff we want to be able to put into an eclair. So again, I'm going to start here and I'm going to apply my pressure, and I'm going to go 1 rosette, 2 rosettes, 3 rosettes, 4 rosettes, release my pressure, and tear it off. And there is a beautiful eclair. I have lines up top on this template and down below, and I'm going to go in and finish piping all of my pate choux batter, and then we're going to bake these. The bake time, we're going to bake them at 350 degrees for exactly an hour. It's the perfect bake on them, and you can do it in your ovens, and they're going to come up and they're going to rise and they're going to be beautiful and you're going to think they're done. But we're going to show you what we're looking for an eclair that's finished, and one that's a little undercooked and one that is just right. So hang in there with me. Okay, here come my eclairs. I'm baking at 350, and I've been in for about 53 minutes. So we're going to take a look at them. I don't believe they're done. I want to show you what I'm looking for and what you need to look for as well. So I'm going to stop the oven. We're going to pull them out here. And we're going to take a look at them. You can see they're light brown. I believe the creases are pretty yellow, and you can see they're very tender to touch. What I want to be able to see is when those creases, you can see right in here, I want to get them a little bit darker, and to me, because they're just will be a little underbaked on the interior, and what I'm looking for is to really dry them out. So it's very hard to overbake pate choux. The longer you bake it, the drier the center becomes, and the more it becomes that vessel for holding that deliciousness that we're looking for. So I'm going to put it back in and put a timer on it, and I'm at 350, so I'm going to let you know. All right, here come my eclairs. They've been in 1 hour and 5 minutes at 350 degrees. I think they look pretty spot on. Oh, there we go. I'm going to stop them here. We're going to pull them out and take a look and see exactly what we're looking for in them. You can see they're brown and beautiful. You can see I'm starting to brown on these little crease and crevices on the pate choux itself. You can see they look nice and dark brown. There's not a lot of yellow that's incorporated in them, and they've got a real nice dark brown color. So at 350, I would say, I'm going to turn it up so I don't make you so dizzy. 350 for about 1 hour and 5 minutes looks like a perfect bake time.